Hello, my name is Kirsty and welcome to Upside Down Books. Today I thought we would have a little look at Instagram and the Bookstagram community, and particularly how I fit into it and how I make and edit my photos. So if anyone out there is curious as to how I do my photo shoots, I guess, or is looking for some tips and tricks, then this is what we are here to do today. So I'm going to run you through my process from creating the photo shoot, taking the photos, and what I use to edit them, etc, etc. The Bookstagram community is absolutely beautiful. If you're not aware of what the Bookstagram community is, then it is where people take pictures of books and discuss books and do all sorts of things all related to books over on Instagram. It's such a lovely place to be, and there are so many ridiculously nice photos. Like, oh my goodness, some of those photos should be like professional photo modelling shots for those books. So if you haven't already checked out that community, then I recommend jumping onto Instagram and searching something along the lines of Bookstagram or just books and see what comes up. It's incredible. So I guess the first question would have to be, why do I take pictures of books? It's something that I really enjoy doing for reasons I can't really explain why. I remember when I first realised that this was a thing on Instagram, and I was like, you know what, that looks like fun. I have so many books on my bookshelf and I quite enjoyed taking profile pictures for the books so that I could have like almost an online catalogue to see all the covers, which is a pretty weird thing to do now when I think about it, but I like doing that, so I did that. And I realised that Bookstagram would be a great outlet for jumping on and creating super pretty pictures of these books. I hope you guys can't hear my earrings as much as I can, but they are the most jingly jangly things in the universe. So that's pretty much the basics as to why I joined Bookstagram. It's fun and it's so satisfying to spend like an hour taking some pictures and then see them all come together when you're editing them and like, wow, it just looks so pretty. You don't need anything special to take these pictures. I used to take pictures on my phone, and then my dad got a good camera, which is what I'm currently filming on, and he lets me use that because it's super good quality and I could take really cool shots of like closer up things and just get better graphics in them. So you don't have to have anything fancy at all. Anything that can take a picture will do. It's just enjoyable to jump in on the fun. One of the things I really love about the community on Instagram is the monthly photo challenges. I haven't participated in any for a long time, maybe 6 months to a year, just because I find I much prefer taking my own pictures, and it got a bit stressful trying to make sure you had 30 pictures up, one for every day of the month. So I don't follow those. However, they are really cool and there are heaps of them out there. A lot for particular subscription boxes or done by different authors or just book clubs, anything. Heaps and heaps of people have these prescribed monthly photos so you can try and complete all the challenges a month, and that's fun if you can't think of anything to take a picture of. But the point is that anyone can join in, and the only money that I have personally spent on creating these pictures are on props. So if you look at those pictures, you'll know that you might notice a lot of people have things like flowers or Funko Pops or all sorts of different things in the images themselves. This is obviously totally optional. I'm a big fan of like the sort of chaotic pictures that have heaps of things in them, lots of bright colours. If you want a really good example of this, go and check out Kate over at Paper Fury because she has some absolutely gorgeous pictures. However, there are heaps and heaps of really simple ones as well. A lot of people just take a picture of the book against a white background, and that's also really beautiful too. Again, everything is entirely up to you. You don't have to spend any money on anything. You can do it on any device that you like, and there are no wrongs or rights. It's your picture, your content. You can do whatever you like with it. But now let's have a look at how I do it. So as I said, I did start out doing Bookstagram on my phone. I had an iPhone and the cameras on those are pretty decent, but eventually moved on to this camera. The particular camera that I use is done by Leica. However, I actually don't know what version it is, but it's one of the big black ones that people tend to use. I just find this camera works really well for me. It has lots of cool features, so that is all good. I take pictures of both the physical books and ebooks, and I tend to use a white background for most of my pictures. Now, I personally don't really have a plain white surface that is at a good height, that has good lighting. So what I use to take my pictures on is this. It is literally just like a breakfast tray. It's quite a large one too, so I can fit lots on here, but I just pop my book on here and then any other props that I want to use, and that works pretty well for me. It's great because it was just something we had in the house. I didn't seek anything in particular, and it wasn't really a conscious decision to have a white background. It just had something that had a white background, so you could literally use anything you like. I mean, if I wanted, I suppose I could flip it over and use like a cork background, but this one obviously has stickers on it. Whilst I do like this, it is limited in its size, and that can be a little frustrating if I want to take a picture from further away, but you know, at the end of the day, I'll work with what I got, you know? I just gotta work with what I've got. One of my advice tips would be to always use natural lighting. Natural lighting looks so much better. I have quite a yellow light in my room anyway, so it just kind of completely throws off the colour scheme if I don't use natural lighting, but I just literally park myself in front of a window, such as the one that I have in my room. You're currently in front of my window, and that works really well. It just means that you have to time your pictures, so don't leave it until the evening when the sun's set. Photo shoot wise, at the moment I take about 2 to 5 photos per shoot. I just find that a manageable amount to do, and it sets me up for a few days time, so especially if I know I'm going to be busy or if I'm away, I have a few pictures that I can use, and then by the time that those few days have passed, I'm ready to take pictures again. Props can be anything. One of my favourite things that I use for props are fake flowers. My mum has a lot of fake flowers in the house, so I like to use those. For example, I have these ones here. These ones I quite like, although because they are an orangey red, I do find that once you start playing with contrast or brightness, red always goes so extreme. I don't know if anyone else has that issue, but when you play with red colours, they tend to just go so bright and get so unrealistic quite quickly. However, we have quite a few flowers in the house, so we've got like lavender ones, freesias, just generic flowers. I just think they look really pretty, and I quite like to have a busy setup, so it helps kind of cover up the light background more and make it look more filled in, if you will. But now I'm going to go get my drawer of goodies out and show you. Flowers were one of the main things that I used before I got many props in. I didn't used to have too much at all. I'd often use mugs or Funko Pops or literally anything I could find. But now I have an entire box of stuff that I've collected through the years, and I find that the longer that I've been on Bookstagram for, the more I enjoy collecting these items and actually spending a little bit of money. So for example, one of the things that I have, which I always feel really guilty about, is I have a really old version of Jane Eyre. Half the book has literally fallen out, so half of the content doesn't sit in there. So I sat down one day, cried a little bit, and tore pages out individually. But you know what, if you've got an old book that's falling apart that you can bear to tear apart, I have several other copies of this book, then it makes for a really good background. So I definitely recommend getting your hands on a copy of some pages because they look really good in the background of books and it gives it a real bookish feel to it. I like to store all my stuff in this box just because I find it an easier way to keep it all tidy and clean. So I had this habit of collecting like old jewellery boxes and just random boxes as well. And all I've done is I've just got a piece of paper and I've cut it out and written on top what it is and sticky taped it to the box. This works super well. I find this to be a really easy, cheap way to organise everything. I didn't need to buy an organiser. I've just used a free drawer in my room and then used jewellery boxes that I've kept over time. I have all sorts of different props that I've collected. For example, I have these mini dice here. I really love these. I use these in the background of almost all my pictures. They're just really good for filling in space and they're nice and small, so they just add a little bit of a pop of colour. I also recently collected a bunch of different coloured mini bows and I'm really enjoying using these. They give a nice colour scheme to the picture and being miniature, they're loads of fun to use. Every now and then I let myself get a little fancy and buy small charms, such as these mini golden cogs, but I also use things such as just small shells. Oh no. But I also use things such as these small shells. I just find that they're really good for scattering across the background and again just adding to the chaos of it all. And I have quite a few other things in this box as well, but it's honestly just lots of mismatched things like that. Most of the stuff I get is from craft stores. However, one of the shells I got in there, for example, I picked off a beach in Ireland when I was travelling over there, so it sort of becomes like a weird sentimental prop as well. But you can use anything is what I'm saying, and you don't have to spend money, but I can almost guarantee you that the longer you do it, the more likely you're going to become addicted to it, and then you'll find yourself buying all sorts of random stuff from craft shops. That's pretty much all I use prop-wise for taking pictures. I will take them on my board with my camera, with natural lighting, using any of these props in any book that I want to do, whether it's a bird's eye view down of the cover or of the spines, or maybe it's a more leveled photo. Do whatever you want, just experiment and have fun. That is the best way to learn what type of photos you like, what you like to create, what you find the most fun. Just do whatever you want, see what tickles your fancy. When it does come to editing photos, however, there are a couple of different ways that I can do it. You obviously don't have to edit your photos, I just quite enjoy doing it. Often I just like to crisp up the photo so that it has a better clarity, or just sort of enhance the colours or the contrast, something like that. Again, I've never paid for any editing thing either. I like to use all the free ones that are out there. I feel like they do enough. So the one that I use most is Picmonkey. I'll leave all the links down below for these. Picmonkey is really great. It has heaps and heaps of different free features. All these websites have options to buy like subscriptions to them so you have access to all the features. But on there you can do cropping, you can resize, you can play with the sharpness and the clarity, you can play with brightness, contrast, highlights, shadows, anything you want to do. Colours, it's all on there for you to edit with. So just have a play. If you're not familiar with these things, honestly, just get a photo that you've taken, upload it onto one of those websites and start pressing buttons. The easiest way to learn is to just try and do these things. The most common elements that I play with for my photos will be the contrast and the sharpness, and that's pretty much it. However, that is when I'm doing a simple picture of just like a book with the props that I have. If I am taking a picture of an ebook, there was a little tip that I picked up from Kate over at Paper Fury. Again, someone you really should go and follow on her blog. She's an incredible person. I will find and link her blog post down below so you can have a read through it. But one of the most difficult things with ebooks is that if you take a picture of the cover on your device, like an iPad or a phone, the backlighting from it just doesn't look as good, or you get reflection, and it's just the most annoying thing in the world. So her tip was to press your home button so you can see where your screen actually is in contrast to its borders, and take your picture with everything set up with just your home screen lit up. So I edit that picture as it is without the cover actually on the device yet. So I'll go onto Picmonkey, do everything I want to do with the clarity and the colours, and then I will go to a website called Pixlr. Again, link down below. I'm sure there are heaps of different websites that you can do this on, but Kate suggested this one, so this is the one that I went with. I'm not going to run you through by just speaking to you how to do this. I recommend actually looking at her blog post because she has pictures to accompany it, and it's just so much easier to do it that way. But basically you can open an image as a layer, and it allows you to do a free distort, so you can pop onto Goodreads to grab the cover and download it, then upload it onto your picture basically and fit it into that screen. So you'll be aligning the picture of the cover with the corners of the screen that is lit up in your picture. I hope that makes sense. I feel like that's difficult to explain. But that's how I do my pictures for ebooks. It's basically a picture that's been edited and then superimpose the cover on top of my device. And that just gives you a much nicer finish with no reflections and no throwing of light. If you wanted to create a graphic with them, that's a whole nother story. So I think I'll make another video about that if you are interested to know how to make like blog graphics or headers, etc, etc. Again, there are a bunch of different websites you can do that on, but that's the basic and easy way to edit your pictures. However, the Instagram app itself has editing features where you can sharpen up the picture and use a filter, so you can always just use that to start with and see what you like there. Or even if you have an iPhone, I have an iPhone so I'm not sure about other devices, you can edit pictures on there as well. A couple of other tips I have for you before I leave. If you don't know, if you're new to the Bookstagram community, you can create drafts and save them on Instagram. So if you're adding a new picture, if you go back after you've like written something on the caption and you want to check something, for example, if you go back it'll give you the option to save the draft. So that will save that for you so you can come back into it later. Another tip I have for you, again this is for iPhone users, I'm not sure about other phones. Hashtags are really time consuming. So what I've done, in your settings under keyboard there is an option to put in a shortcut that you type and then it will autofill the rest of it in. So you might put OMW for on my way, and all you have to type every time on your phone is OMW and it will automatically put it to the full version. What I've done is basically a cheap way of saving me time. I type in hashtag books into my keyboard and I've set it so that when I type that it fills in all the generic hashtags I'll use, and then all I have to do is add in like the title of the book or the author if I want to do that. So that's just a couple of tips that I have that I find makes it a little bit easier and just speeds up the process of posting a picture. Another thing that's entirely up to you is whether you want to watermark your picture or not. I guess it's really whether you're concerned about it or not. I do, just because it takes me hours to create those photos and I pride them a lot, so I would find it really sad if anyone sort of stole my pictures and used them for whatever. So just for peace of mind, I like to do it. I use Picmonkey. They have a text option you can add in, and I usually just put it on a soft colour that semi-blends in but is still legible just into my picture, just for peace of mind more than anything. But that pretty much covers how I do Instagram. Just before I head off, however, I will just flick through a few examples here for you so you can see what type of pictures I actually take, or if you like you could just go onto my Instagram page and have a look for yourself. Feel free to give me a follow. But these are the type of pictures that I do like to take and the aesthetic that I go for an example. I hope that helps anyone who is looking to join the Bookstagram community maybe in the future, or was just interesting to anyone who was interested. Other than that, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!